The following video was pre-recorded on twitch.tv/codedman9000. More information on the stream times at the end of the video. Death. Something the citizens of Shady Acres knows too well. Due to an unknown disease rapidly progressed by the city's expansion rate, and left with nothing else to do, the citizens take to the streets. They rush to the transportation center to take buses to the Chirp X Space Center. Large lines queue for the citizens' chance to escape the planet. The Chirp X Space Center, the last hope, is a place housing the space rocketing program. The city's survival, or even the planet's survival, relies on the Chirp X's Kerbal Space Program to teach us how to fly across the stars. With the help of SpaceX Kerbal Space Program, we will first learn how to fly a rocket. Next, we will learn how to fly in lower planet orbit before continuing to full planet orbit. After learning orbit travel, we only have one more thing to do: space travel. Hello and welcome to a Twitch Plays Along series called Stone to Space. Today we're in Chapter 3, Space Travel. Today we are playing Kerbal Space Program. We are going to be doing, or at least attempting to set up a moon manned landing. So, we go straight into the VAB. Actually, I should probably do the Land Rover first, because we're going to be doing a landing capsule, for us to get onto Mun, and then also be able to leave Mun and come back to Kerbin. But we're also going to be making a Land Rover that will detach from the lander. Or it could be a whole nother lander in a way, and we detach the rocket once we land on Mun. So it'd be like a two-part system. We have one large rocket get us to Mun. We detach the first portion, which is the Land Rover. We drop it down with a small engine, and then we break it off when it lands. And then we take our pod with our crew down. I think we might do it that way. I'm just not sure how we're going to do it yet. So let's go into the spaceplane hangar. We are going to create some form of a rover. It doesn't have to be very big. We also did unlock new things. So we have a larger command pod. We have the cupola module? What is this for? Was developed to provide a high-visibility control room for orbital stations and a plane for thoughtful Kerbals to contemplate the beauty of the cosmos. So this is for like a space station, which is another thing we might be able to do this stream. I don't think we're going to have enough time to do at least a part of a space station. We might just focus on Mun today. So I'm thinking we do a Mark 1 cockpit, because we only need one Kerbal in here. And then we're going to need a service bay, which I think is in cargo. That's not the right one. This is not where I want to be. Is it payload? It is payload. And we want the smaller one, the 1.25. Which way does this open? Oh, that's perfect. We actually want it opening that way. Okay, and then inside we want one of these guys. He's that roughly centered. I think if I go down a little bit. That wasn't actually too bad for a first try on getting that centered. I am going to move it over more. If I put the blue dot in the center of that gray circle, that looks pretty close to being centered. I am going to move the bottom portion into the cockpit, like that. And now we can put our science stuff inside there to make it a little bit more slim looking. That wasn't the spot I wanted to go to. Here we go. So this is specifically for orbital missions. It is for the space station, and I think it's so that we take science from a globe being Mun, Kerbin, Minmus, Duna, and we take it to the space station, and then this lab spends even more time with that science. At some point, it'll give us even more science in return. So it takes quite a while. If we read it, no longer limited to the research facilities only on Kerbin. With the Mobile Processing Lab, you can conduct long-term experiments and ongoing research with the data you collect in the field. As I said, on the globe, in the field, same thing. Be sure to check back on your scientists from time to time and transmit the results of their research home. This module is guaranteed to spontaneously combust less than in previous modules or models, and also has the equipment necessary to clean out and restore functionality to inoperable experiments. So pretty much we can reset it after a while. There is a Berserker in chat if anyone wants a Meowth branched evolution. So, do we want a space station first? Yeah, Tori is begging for treats because she is refusing to eat her breakfast. It's like she hasn't taken a single bite out of it. And I am trying to push off giving her treats, but I will if you guys want to. But I'm not going to give her treats unless there is a redeem note for it. So what I'm thinking we do is we're obviously going to put a storage container, this little thing, on this little Land Rover so that we could collect all the science from all the biomes and just keep resetting our stuff and continue on to the next biome. That'll keep it all into this one Land Rover. Then I think we put another storage unit on the lander. How do we transfer from one cargo or one vehicle to another? That's something I haven't tried. Can we transfer science from one vehicle to another? Welcome in, Glow! Glow used my walk-on message for Willow's channel. Glow, it's been a while, but Slicky came in and redeemed the mug, so I'm actually drinking water out of a mug for once. It's been a few months since the last time the redeem was used. I am doing well so far. We are creating a Land Rover for driving around the first moon, the closest one, and we're trying to figure out how we can use this orbital processing lab as a space station thing. We give it science from doing manned missions, and then after some time it creates even more science from that little bit. So like if we had 1 point of science, it would make 2, for example, after some time. I don't really know what the conversion is, like 1 to 2 or 1 to 5 or something. Maybe it's more. Who knows? About your question, a Kerbal can take and store science. So what you're saying is that I can have the lander and the rover have storage components, but I would need to use a Kerbal to transfer between one to the other. Take everything out of one, walk the Kerbal over into the other, place it all in. Not science itself, but the experiments. Have fun, Slicky. Thanks for stopping in. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just have fun annihilating me? What do you mean? What is the part you worry about? I just didn't know if we could transfer between one vehicle to another. Because I want to collect all the science with this Land Rover, transfer it to the lander that then takes our Kerbals from none to a space station later on. And I didn't think that there was a way to transfer. I thought it was either from the vehicle to our Kerbal Space Station. I'm Slicky Jeb as Jebediah. Oh! Okay. I forgot all about that. It's been so long since you were called Jebediah. Absolutely can do that. Thank you, Glow. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I like to try and fit all of the science, these three things, on one side. With this, I'm not sure if there's enough space, even if I turn the goo, to put the temperature and the barometer like next to it. We're gonna try it anyway. So if I, oh, that was radial. If I figure out which way I have to rotate this. Oh, there's definitely enough room to put all these in here. So this is just going to be our little science container here. I think I need to move the goo in slightly. Yeah, I do. Just so it's not poking out. Aesthetical reasons only. There's no other, like, physical reason that it has to be moved in. It's not going to spontaneously combust just because it sticks out of this door a little bit. Oh, didn't mean to pick that up. I'm not sure I should backseat here. There's a very helpful tip. I am 100% open to backseating as long as you're not specifically telling me I have to do something. If it's more of a example of what would happen or just general advice, you know, this might be helpful if you want to try it type of thing. There was a time when someone came in and was specifically telling me I had to change settings of a game before, and that I ignored because that was more of a forceful telling me to do something. This tip can feel fun though? What is it anyway? Now I'm curious. I want to rotate the... Oh, there we go. Coda streaming, Riga streaming, maybe I should stream? You should, Naomi. Stream specifically Repo, because you're so good at it. It'd be funny if Sophie was streaming. There was a day when all three of us were streaming before. Right now it's just me, Regus, and Willow. I'm trying to see if anyone else is live. Oh, we also have Mr. Babkins is live too. You know what? I am going to fit all of this in here. And then we'll just go through the different tabs we need to look at, so that way I can see Firebot. Because sometimes it's more easier to read on Firebot than it is on OBS. Your idea with the rover is a lot of fun, but in reality the space between biomes is so huge, you are more likely to crash and get stuck than travel to a new biome with my experience. Good point. Mun does have a lot of craters. Can a plane work on Mun? Does it have enough atmosphere that we could fly around Mun? Very close to the ground, obviously, because it has less gravity. Because a plane might be quicker. Mun's smaller than Kerbal. It's not going to take us days to get around the sphere. Plus, we've did a lot of science from above the globe. Used to stream, internet connection got worse, don't know why, otherwise I would have. You know, we did used to have a lot of internet issues here. Plane could work, but I have a very specific recommendation that works quite well. Well, tell me what the recommendation is, because you do bring up a good point, that we could get stuck since there's so many craters on Mun. Compared to Kerbal, that only has like one crater that I know about. This is to collect science. The lander is only to get from Mun back home. So if you have a better idea of how to collect science, I am open to suggestions. Minmus is a lot easier to explore once you get there. Mun is the more difficult moon out of the two. What we were doing for our story is going to the 2 moons, and then going to Duna as the last of Kerbal Space Program. So there's only 2 globes that I'm going, 3 globes that I'm going to. We could go to Minmus first, since, as you point out, it is easier to go around, and then we could come back to Mun later on. Starting with Minmus is a lot less frustrating, it's true. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Minmus first. Since this is just a land... You know what? I do not want to use this cockpit. Personally, build a ship that lands, go to several bombs, and to return. I try to keep it relatively short and have 3 legs as far apart as possible. I have seen a lot of people on YouTube do 3 legs instead of, like, 4. I was trying... A biome hopper on Minmus is easier. There are far fewer biomes on Minmus. You can land at quite a few locations easily. That's true. I could do a biome hopper, which is just a small rocket. We give it a tiny amount of thrust to lift it off the surface, and then we just tilt and fly to a different area. But what I kind of want to keep the separation of the 2 vehicles, because I want to have a actual lander. What I want to do is actually use this one. Just because I like the look of it more, and we could put a little ladder here. That's the only reason that I'm using this for. And I think I had to use this one. Nope, that's too small. It was... this? Yes. Don't need an nose-cone, but I also don't want just a flat cut off in the front. The slip biome is... not easy for landing. That's true. We are going to land on the same, or roughly the same spot as we did with our lander before, our satellite lander. I did everything in one vehicle. It is quite fun, but it's a lot more fun with several vehicles. That's why we're going to try and do it with more. The thing that I'm trying to do is more of a challenge, having to go from having to land 2 different vehicles. I'm doing 4. 2 different vehicles and only actually using 1 at a time. Because this lander is going to be left there as, like, a monument, I guess would be the good way to do it. It is quite easy with 1 vehicle. But a lot more fun with several. I get what you mean. Alright, wheels. Oh, we have 2 different types of landing struts now. I didn't realize we unlocked a different landing strut. So what I want to do, I think, is just normal symmetry here. With 2 vehicles. First moon landing, learned a lot of historical stuff and how they approached it. Oh, you actually watched the landing. Me and Regus made jokes before that anytime you play Kerbal Space Program, you end up watching space landings. Like, it's an unavoidable thing. You replayed it in KSP. That's, I know what you meant, but I mean, at the same time, it was copied off of IRL stuff, I think. So I think I have to place these on the actual side in order for them not to be turned weirdly. And then I just want to figure out which way I need to rotate this. Alright, that's... Oh, now it's snapping. That would make more sense. We're going to do 1 set there. And another set over here. And then we're going to move them so they're not, like, right where they are exactly. First thing I want to do... is obviously move them up. I don't want snapping. No, that's a... No, I think I want it a little bit higher. We're definitely going to have to move these in afterwards, and I think if I go to... here... No, I can't tell if they're the same height. By the way, was a lot of fun playing Goose Goose Duck with you. It was insane how often you were a duck and also how often you got lynched. Or lynched. It was odd. Every time I play, there seems to always be one person that gets duck quite often, and it changes. Who got duck the most this time before that? I think Willow was duck a lot once. And aside from that, I don't really know. Because usually when it's when I'm playing with Willow, it's Willow, Wellbred, Regus, me, and then whoever else can fit in. So the one gameplay, Willow added 2 of her friends that I don't think anyone would recognize from Twitch at all. And I don't remember who got it the most. I know one of her friends was duck a lot, but not like as much as I was when we were playing it on the stream. I know when we played 3D Among Us, Wellbred got imposter a lot. Oh, Oz! That was the 5th person that I kept forgetting. Oz, at one point, when Oz wasn't being the one targeted every time and getting killed first, Oz had a gameplay where she was the duck the most. It does seem like the game picks a person that they become duck more often. Now, for like weight distribution, I kind of want the wheels separated a little bit more. So I'm gonna put this, like, I guess right there, because that's as far as it wants to move. And it shouldn't look weird when I open the doors. They open into the wheels. It doesn't really do anything to them. This is a weird-looking Land Rover. Now, next thing we need to worry about is how the heck are we gonna get this from space? And I want to know if this is something that gets retracted. I think the wheels are constantly out at all times compared to this landing gear. Do you know about the KSP cheat menu? A lot of people use it for simulation of single parts and then reset it. This way you don't have to land on Duna to test the Duna vehicle. I do know of it. I don't know the controls for it. I know you can automatically test a rocket by doing a cheat that puts you in orbit of a globe. I didn't write down what that cheat is, though. I'm debating on how we're going to do the wheels. I might switch to the landing gears just so I can retract them and then bring them out later on. Yeah, we might just be fine. What we do need to do now is... It's just F12. Really? It's that easy, just F12? I thought it was going to be like controlled something. Orbit or location. Helps a lot to test and refine vehicles. Alt F12. See, I knew. I had a feeling there would be an alt in there, and I wasn't going to try the F keys. Okay, what I'm gonna do, put a decoupler on the back. Oh, we need to put electricity on here too. Alright, so what I'm actually going to do is forget about this. We're gonna load our science plane and we're going to edit portions of this. And that makes a good point. Now that I have this here, I could just get rid of that service bay with the science in it. We don't need this. We're not gonna need that. We'll put that away. We will need that nose cone. But we don't need that piece in the middle. And then we obviously don't need wings. Or the tail. Now this is two different cargo things here for the electrical stuff. So what I'm thinking is we cut down this electrical stuff quite a bit. So I'm just going to chop it in half. And then all I'm going to do is move this over. I do want this snapping to where it is. And this should still fit right there. I know they're clipping together. And this is as close as I can get for some reason. I take off snapping. Oh, snapping brought it closer. If I just grab that, that just brought it in more, and I love that. It then does bring them over more to the right. So I am going to just line this up with whatever one is to the right of it. Just so we don't get any weird visual things. Yeah, don't try Alt F4, of course. That's what scared me. I thought there would be other Alt F4 scenarios, and I didn't want to break anything. Now this doesn't have to be on symmetry mode at all, but it does have to be snapping to the middle. I'm just going to place these randomly so that I can get rid of this. And then 2. With snapping still on so that it brings it closer. And then we take snapping off so that I can move it over to match the ones on the side more. Then snapping on, bring it in, snapping off, move it over. Last one, snapping, snapping off, over just a tiny bit. That shouldn't look too weird. I worry about your setup changing the center of gravity. I'm not sure how significant it is, but personally avoid placements like that. That's a good point. Center of gravity is quite forward. We could change this to being fuel, because we are going to have an actual rocket added to this. So we could just break off the engine and keep the fuel from landing as a weight distribution thing to try and put the sphere in the center where the service junior or science junior is. So they're not front heavy and like leaning forwards at all times. I think that's a good enough idea to try. So I think we would need this fuel tank here because we are going to be using an ant rocket, which is a liquid fuel burner. We're not going to need a lot of fuel. Obviously, this is too much. And let's just take the stuff off of this. You know, instead of just grabbing everything, I think I'm just going to get rid of this thing and then just add it back in piece by piece. For some reason, I feel like it's faster, and I'm not sure why. So we need two-way symmetry at first with C being pressed, and I want to rotate these. We could be using the radial batteries. I'm debating on if we should. If I did the radial batteries, I would actually put in a small service cargo thing. And then these also have to get rotated. And the last one. Okay, I want this whole thing moved over here. So that then I look down, I'm looking right at the top. Don't need symmetry on. Do want this rotated. I do see that they are further apart than they were before. That's just where I placed it. And I'm honestly not going to worry about how far up they are. They look fine. So now I'm going to take some fuel out of here to where it gets close to being centered, but also keep it a little bit to the right because we're going to be using some of this fuel as we're landing. So I'm not going to really get this centered in the middle right here at this black line. It's going to be a little bit to the right. Like a green science container, you should shift up slightly, but symmetry solves it. Mirror symmetry doesn't. I'm honestly not sure if it makes a difference. If we place the wheels out far enough from the center, it won't make too much of a difference because of how small they are. It shouldn't do too much, plus I have the storage container on the right side to kind of counteract it. But this is a better way of storing fuel and also moving the center of mass back. I'm just going to bring this down. I'm going to try to keep them equal. I think center of mass might want to be over here more, looking at the length of this. Because if we're going off of the white lines on the ground, this lander pretty much does stay between those, just a little bit further out. Was that where the Science Junior was originally? Or where the... No, okay. I just keep turning this down. I'm going to place it here, because we're going to use fuel and it's going to go up more. Alright, sorry, it's kind of hard to explain what I mean. I didn't mean the center of mass being at the center of the rocket, but the science equipment not shifting the center to a certain side. It should still be roughly centered, because if we look this way... Actually, I need to pull this up a little bit more. The center of mass is still in the center of the rocket. I know the aerodynamics might get messed up. I did notice that we should rotate this goo. When we were flying this at fast speeds, I noticed that we were having drag due to the goo being turned this way at least. I'm gonna move it that way. We have... this. I am actually going to move this in a little bit more. One snap is a little too far in. I know it's probably not going to do too much, but I mean, we're going to have drag due to the batteries and the solar panels being out, so as long as the center of mass stays in the center of the rocket, which it seems like it still is. I'm going off of the slightly circular portion of the tip of the nose. Putting that in the center rocket, it does still seem like it's not turned to the one side or not going off of this line up top. So we should be okay. We have a ladder here. So I could do actual landing gears. We are using a plane to build a land rover, but we are going to strap a rocket to the back of this. It's going to be an ant rocket. I'm just going to put a decoupler here with the actual engine connected to that. Hopefully it works that way. What I want to do first is put the wheels on, since we are going to actually use landing gears. Probably going to be overkill. And if I do symmetry, we could put 4. You know what? I want this so that it's not higher on the sides. These wheels are taller than the other wheels. Why does this look different? Like it's snapping to a different point. There we go, that looks normal. Can we drive these wheels? That's a question. It looks like it gave the rocket ship the command play dead, and now it's waiting for snacks. Oh, yeah. It's easier to put wheels on when you rotate it upside down. That's the only reason why I did this. Try driving it. Just use cheats menu. Oh, there's a Clefairy chat. That's Gen 1. I'm obviously going to try and catch a Gen 1 Pokemon. Alright, let's rotate these so obviously they're pointing vertically. That looks good enough. They look like they're straight up, and they're roughly the same height. So what I'm going to try to do... Oh, wait. I don't think these wheels work off of electricity. I think it's the Rovex modules are actually the wheels that we need. We're going to test this on the runway since we're right here. If I do that, we're going to call this Land Rover. We'll call it Mark 1, because we definitely are going to be updating this, I think. And then... I didn't mean to click out of that, I clicked the wrong button. I meant to click this button. I just want to know if it'll drive without an engine. Because I know the other wheels that are made for an actual rover do drive off of just electricity. So if I pull back, we're not slowing down. But do we speed up by going forward quicker? I mean, I can turn. That's not me speeding up, going forward. Yeah, we're not actually speeding up. I'm just keeping the speed at a stagnant point. We definitely do have to switch to the other wheels. These aren't going to work for what I'm trying to do. So I will just put this here, and I think I need this button. Is that a good height away? I think that's a decent height. We'll rotate them in a minute. I think that's straight. Low gravity rovers are a lot harder than you think at first. I generally recommend testing stuff. We will test it. I just want to get the function, everything built onto it, and then we'll tweak the items. Okay, that should be it. The last part that I want to add to this is obviously the decoupler that I hope will not stop the ant engine from working with this. I think when we tried it before, they don't work when they're decoupled between the fuel. This is all I need. No, I don't need 2, I need just 1. I think it is going off of the decoupler. And we want it staged like that. We do have velocity. Don't like where it's positioned though. Alright, who do we have in here? Jump it out, good enough. So if I do it off F12. I don't know where to go from here. Set orbit, set position. So if I just do this, does it matter where I go? Do I have to start first? You're right, I do. Okay. Oh wait, I didn't save that. Let me save it first. Okay. Don't know if that's bad or not, so we're just gonna go. Also, the conventions. It wasn't letting me. Is there a way to see coordinates of where we have the satellite? Where is it? There it is. There is. I am gonna guess 6 and 166 is the points. I think. I think that's how that works. Not entirely sure, but we're gonna try it. That didn't work either. What if I just go like 10? There we go, 10 worked. And we're a little too high up. This is definitely not where I want it to be, though. Screen is too small to follow. I know it's small. We're about to touch down on Minmus. Okay, where is the rover? How far away am I? 6 and 166. Okay, so I needed the extra numbers afterwards. Anyway, we could drive over to it. If I click on this and set as target, we'll be able to see where we have to drive to, I think. So at this point, actually, we are not in sunlight, so I'm going to fast forward because I don't know which way Minmus rotates at this point. Oh, we're getting further away from the sun. Alright, there's our first satellite lander, and now we're in the sun. We're not to there. SAS, I guess. I can't do that. I just take us off. Not sure why it's just picking up the back end. Maybe I need it back heavy? Not sure SAS is good for Land Rovers. Okay. Oh, okay, that made it. I think we're too front heavy. Oh no, we're just not heavy. Okay. I'm not too concerned with this. We could maybe not break off the ant rocket and use it as a little bit of extra thrust. Uh-oh. Please don't destroy anything. Okay. This is odd. Trying to keep it upright. Getting it turned around a little bit. No, no, where is this going? This is so... I'm having fun doing this, but at the same time, it's such a weird control maneuver here. Okay. If we can just not keep rolling. No! It's gonna keep rolling. Okay. I can just keep the two back wheels on the ground. There we go. I have no idea where the Land Rover is. Breakdance time for sure. Oh wait, I can just see our heading. That's fair. We want to go heading of 90, right? Go east. So I want to do small turns. Imagine designing the whole thing, then doing the mission, and then being stuck like that. Yeah, we have done that a few times. And I had just reloaded the save. I went the wrong way, it seems. Oh, we were heading in the right direction to begin with. Alright. So if I just give us a tiny amount of thrust and turn on this rocket. That tiny amount of thrust is a little too slow for my liking. We should be going downhill as well. And there's no way for me to tell which way we are actually heading because I can't see the lines of how high we are. Actually, I can see the coordinates changing. We are going the right way, because that bottom number going east is getting bigger. We are just relatively slow. If I put us at the first line on throttle, I don't see a tiny amount. Is the rocket actually using fuel at the moment? It was. We were just barely above 0 on the thrust. We're now at the first line of thrust. So we were at about like 10.7 meters per second. Now we're at 14. I don't know how fast we need to be to do what I'm trying to do. If I just go full throttle, that was no throttle. Let's get some speed and see what happens. I'm honestly going to do no science right now. Because we're only going to collect the science when we actually come over here. Now we are going to start flying at some point because we're on a mountainous cliff type space. Going off of this, it looks like we're going to drop a big distance. Also, before we come here, I'm going to have to pull up the biomes, because I don't know the biomes for Minmus. I know more or less the biomes for Mun. Whoa! maybe we're going a little too fast. I knew that was gonna happen. I don't know what broke off. And we're just gonna be rolling out of control. We don't have that rocket anymore. Is this technically a rover? Technically a frisbee at this point. I don't know which way I need to rotate to slow us down. I'm starting to see that this isn't a good idea. Yeah, I'm surprised Jeb is still alive. It looks like the nose cone broke off. And now it's just Jeb. And now it's Jeb in one wheel. I don't know which way I need to rotate to stop the spinning. Oh, just turn SAS on. Can I, like, use this one wheel? I can use that one wheel to get us still going. That's funny. No, you need to stay up on that one wheel. Once you're in the air, SAS is great. That's fair. So we are still driving. As long as I keep it on that wheel. Looks like you should be sponsored by Red Bull. I want to know how close can we get to that satellite. We're not even close to the edge of this hill. Look at that. You know, we're not too far away from it, though. And if I keep occasionally tilting downwards, the front, we do gain speed. But not really, because every time I have to correct for us tilting downwards, I end up making us lose speed. So I am just going to fast forward a little bit. Oh, my bad. I can't. Is it alt in the period and I can still do it? Yep. I just think it's funny that I can drive on Minmus with just one wheel. I want to know what happens when we get to the edge. A little bit faster. I'm sure there are good designs somehow, but from personal experience, low gravity rovers are just hard. That's fair. And we are pretty much gliding. every time I adjust for us sliding against the ground, because we're going so fast, all my movements are a little too sharp. I think we might be going up a hill. The only way to know is if we start slowing down. No, we're still apparently going downhill. But visually, it looks like we're going uphill. Mine never got good? Oh no. This looks a bit like Super Mario when you do those little jumps. So we should be able to see our lander in this little frozen lake area. Try and bounce us. No, that didn't bounce us. Trying to rotate us so we're going downhill, but not sure if it's going to work out. Oh, we're also on the fast speed. Let me turn that down. Might make it easier to turn. It does make it easier. So somewhere on this frozen lake is our satellite lander. Oh, it's quite far away. We're not going to be able to see it. It's on the other side of that small hill. So, I want to know how much force we need to make this explode. But I think just rotating it, the wheel's suspension is keeping us above the ground. Oh, another thing. Turn SAOs off. There we go! Now we're getting the uncontrolled movements. I don't even know what broke off, but I see that we still have our storage, so it might have been the goo. You're having a bit too much fun with the cheat menu? I am. Because we can't do this without it. And I think we're just going to stay floating. Oh, no, we're about to hit the ground. There goes the box. Could this cause a seizure? Should I not be doing this? I don't know if this is like flashing lights type seizure thing. I'm a little concerned. Might throw up from the graphics. What if I go like this? It's just shaking the ground. Whoa, wait, I could go to Jebediah. You've seen everything. Alright, if I turn SAS on. What is still left here? Just the ladder. You know what we have to do? We have to break the ladder. Actually, we are quite high up from the ground. There we go. Oh! I don't think the ladder survived. As said, you have too much fun with the cheat menu. Alright. We're gonna not do this anymore. We're gonna give up on the Slain Rover Mark 1 thing. What we're gonna do is just get rid of it. And we're going to make just a normal lander, and we'll do bunny hops. I do need to do a little stretch because knees are a little irritated from sitting. Oh, there goes the headphone. We used to be rotated facing that way, and right next to me on my left now is a bench that has storage underneath it, and I used to put my feet up on it anytime my knees started to get irritated from being bent for too long. Now that I'm rotated, I'm looking at a wall just like this. So I have nowhere to extend my legs. Minmus is quite alright for bunny hops. Okay. What I'm gonna do... I have a vehicle as well like that. We will. We're gonna use the Mark III command pod because we could put 3 people in it. And since it's not gonna have a lot of stuff connected to it, let's bring this all the way down to the ground. Maybe not that far down. Now, what I can do is... Oh, we could use a lander can as well. Don't expect it to survive atmospheric entry, or even a sneeze. You know, I think it might be just fine using this instead. It's quite big. Did I unlock a larger parachute? I don't think I did. I also have the hitchhiker's storage container. Oh, that's more for, Space Center. Another science playthrough? Alright, let's do an adapter. Where would they be? Structural? I want this one, right? No, I wanted that. I didn't see it, chat. Oh, why am I getting emails? No. I'm spacing out on what we need. Really just need a science junior, right? But it looks very small compared to this, so maybe we put the science junior on the top and then put the parachute on top of the science junior. How weird is this gonna look? Honestly, I don't think it looks too weird for what we're trying to do with this. Don't recommend too big command modules for the hopper, as everything else has to be proportionally bigger. Take a lot more fuel for the same delta V. That is a fair point. Oh, I meant to grab the whole thing. If we stick with this little guy, but I also want to have more than one person. Or do I even need to have more than one person? Because with us being in the science mode, everyone is fully upgraded, so even Bob, our scientist, is able to do SAS controls. So I don't think we need to have Jebediah and Bob. So we're just gonna build this like I did the last one. Could I cheat? Need a scientist for reset, and yes, SAS will be necessary too. That's true. If we go back to looking at our science plane, Bob does have SAS in the science mode. If you're in the career mode, you have to get him upgraded to do that. I'm just thinking about how this is gonna look. We want payload, we want this down here. We're gonna want this rotated so that I can put ladders on it, so which way does this open? Oh, it opens the correct way, good. And then... Science Junior, but I want it rotated one way. There we go. What's wrong, Cloud Cover? Making you play Skispy? Blame Regus. He's the one that got me to do it. Regus is currently live. I think we should all go complain to Regus that because of him, now everyone wants to do this. It's a good game though, thank you, Regus. I'm debating on doing a second cargo bay just to put the circular batteries and then having the solar panels around the outside of the no, not the outside of that, outside of this, just having this completely be covered in solar panels. You know what? I am going to do that. Because I know we can fit 3 of these round batteries inside these. And then if I zoom in, I'm then going to just move these up a tiny amount so that they're not clipping through the bottom. Were they even clipping through it? I don't think they were. Okay. You already have extendable solar panels? No, I do not. I only have these. We didn't have the science to unlock the retractable ones yet. Okay. It'd be better to just go like this. Oh wait, these aren't two-way symmetry. Wait. I wanted the same on the other side. There is another Gen 1 Pokemon. A neat arena. That's the first time I've seen that. Alright. That is 2 directions. I want to put them here as well, but not two-way symmetry. It might have been easier to do 4-way symmetry and then just delete the ones on this, but I figured this is easy enough. That should be a decent amount to charge these batteries. Am I gonna want RCX? So there's not a tendency to one side. The thing I was trying to avoid was blocking the door, and I think if we do 3-way symmetry, no matter where I put one, it will end up blocking the door. So if I just you know what? If I pick this up and place it back down, I think this blocks them from getting out. Center gravity and drag. That's true. Not good enough pilot. That's why I'm debating on putting RCX on here. Those we can for sure do with 3-way symmetry. Where would they be? Command and control. There we go. What's the difference between these? Looks like it's just the mass. These are just lighter. So if I put these here, it'll help us with tipping over. And those can go like that. If I put this here... No, that would definitely block it if I had solar panels like that. And I'm guessing the reverse also would mean that the solar panels would block this way. We might be able to get away with having the solar panels like this. I'm gonna try it, so we are gonna get rid of all these. I'm just gonna place them just like this. And we're gonna test to see if a Kerbin can get out of here. Because if anything, I might bring it up to even 6-way symmetry so that it's over on this as well. And then just delete the ones in front of the door, if this works, if they can still get out. I have a feeling that they won't be able to. We're gonna call this Boon Hopper. And then, of course, Mark 1. Mind you, Mark 1 is not gonna change after we come back from testing. Really helped for what I meant. You're not using RCS to this. That's true. I'm not using RCS to ascend. That's going to be just for keeping us straight up when we're on the planet. It's going to help me with directional control as we're hopping. Awesome, you can get out. Okay, we're doing this then. So let's revert back to vehicle assembly. We're going to put this back on, well, not back on it, but we're going to put this on 6-way symmetry so that we fill these 2 gaps. It'll be slightly more weighted to this side because it'll have 2 things there. What if I try 5-way symmetry? These solar panels will obviously be a little bit closer. But I don't know if they will block the door, especially if we do it slowly. So that's 4, that's 5. 5 does end up blocking the door. I just want to see where it places them. Oh, that's 6-way symmetry. Is there no 5-way symmetry? That's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, there's no 5-way symmetry. That's unfortunate. 5 would make it a little bit easier for us. That's okay. Alright, and then we go to this guy, and this guy, this guy. Out of the way. There shouldn't be too much weight pushed to this side, because they're just the solar panels. They're also going to interact with the RCX thrusters. I placed them that they'd be in a better spot. We only need 3. Oh, that's perfect right there. Okay. Are you sure I need that many? No, we do not. We definitely do not need this many. I just wanted to completely cover it for no reason. That's not sarcasm. I seriously wanted to cover it. We only have these 3 batteries. Now, instead of using the ladder that we had before, I think I might just use the, I forget where they are. These, to get down. Obviously, we do not need these, symmetry-wise. I can just keep copying these down. I don't know if they need to be, like, touching each other, or if they could be separated and it still works. All the way down to here. And then at that point, we're probably going to need the extendable ladder, because we're going to have laning gears down here. But first, get our sign set up. I want this thing. Ooh, what is this? I didn't notice this before. Oh, that's cool. It's more like a nose, or a cone, I mean. That might be useful at some point. We are going to use this one, though. Can I have you in here, please? I don't think you're centered there. You're definitely not centered. How do I get this centered? We take off the Science Junior, and then... let's just do that. Oh, I want to go up. Zoom out and that. If you dare fly around, that is. I have no idea how to use the backpacks. No one's told me how to use them. I have no idea how to, start them. I guess would be the way. Activate. I tried doing RCS, but it didn't actually start the backpacks. Like, I know RCS is how you rotate in space, and that's how you use the jetpacks in space, but you should be able to do it on Minmus as well. When we tried it before, it just didn't work. Yeah, I don't want to move like that. I want to go like this. Can we see that in this? Yeah, we can. Do I care? No. We're gonna keep this closed as well. On Minmus, you can get into orbit with your jetpack only, if I remember correctly. That is odd. There's that little gravity that you can use a jetpack to get in orbit. I mean, you can pretty much do a very low orbit on Minmus as long as you don't hit any of the mountains. As long as you're going fast enough, you won't hit the ground. Anyway, I'm going to put all of our science on this side since this is where the Science Junior opens. That's not science, this is science. So, we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. Minmus is hollow and has no density. Oh. Yep. There we go. You guys right on here. I want to unlock the third item for seismology. And that time it closed perfectly. Okay. We're gonna set up a group action for all the science and opening this door. And carbon is super dense. What would be next? Probably fuel and a rocket, and that's it. Now, since this is just for on Minmus, I don't think we need a large amount of fuel. I think I might stick to the 200 fuel tank. Relatively small. Let's put the ant engine on. I'm gonna just place it, and then we're gonna rotate this to see where it is. Can I flip it a different way? I can. I got that pretty centered without being able to see what I was doing. Okay. Oh, I want to grab you. Alright, next thing I'm gonna need... Oh wait, we want to be able to fly back to our planet with this. Have fun lurking, Glow. So what we actually want to do is take this off. We want to put a shield. That's too small. And a decoupler. And then we put this on. And I want these switched around. That is not enough to get back home if I look at my notes here. That's why I had this bigger so that I could see more. Mund to Kerbin, we need about 310 meters per second. So we're actually going to change this out for the larger one. And that'll definitely give us enough. Yeah, we're more than that. We might want more after we test this out, just because I don't know how much of the fuel we're going to use while flying around. But now let's go into landing gears. Which one would I need? It may vary. It may have been originally designed as a heavy-duty metal detector, but this landing leg certainly emphasizes an important fact in surface landings. You don't need to put a crater in the ground to stop yourself. Oh, okay. And it goes down further. If we turn on snapping and then three-way symmetry, because I agree with what Glow said, that three-way symmetry is a better look, at least. Now, don't need three-way symmetry, but I do need to know how far this extends. Not the whole thing, just what does. Let's zoom out and put the landing gear in the ground. So at that point, this ladder should not be in the ground at all. Right there. And then I'm just going to line this with more of these. And that's probably close enough. We're going to test it on the launch pad. But I think this is all I need, right? It's 100% overkill. So let's do the science stuff here. The action groups, I mean. So the first one, like our usual, is going to be collecting the science. We also need a spot to store the science. So I'm going to add that in real quick. I'm just going to place it over here. Obviously rotated. Not that way. Like that. And then a little bit in a lot, and this shouldn't interact with anything inside. Meaning if I open this back up again, it's pretty much in the center of the structural support, not touching the science stuff. So now we're fine. Number one is going to be all of the sciences. So conduct, observe, log temperature, log pressure, crew report, and I also wanted to open the doors here. Don't want him to toggle the doors, but that looks like it's the only thing it has. So I guess we won't do that then. Alright. Actually, maybe we should have had... No, there's a button for landing gears, never mind. I can just press G and the gears will come out. So number two is going to be our usual of just collecting our signs. Sure, you can backseat, I don't mind. We did have a button for the ladder. Could I put that on the landing, the gear button as well? Kind of like that. Then we obviously don't want these starting extended. When you EVA, make sure to collect data from the capsule, and it resets the collection for you so you can add more signs. Well, that's what the whole point of doing the second action group was. That it collects everything from the capsule, because it'll get the crew report, the EVA, and the surface sample as well. Okay, we'll start these retracted. I'm gonna save that. For our test, this might fall over, but we're gonna see what happens. I pretty much guarantee it's gonna fall over. Or not. If I press G, they push us up. The ladder goes far too much into the ground. Okay, why was this started open? No idea. We also have to put the thrusters down here too, so it's not top heavy. Does it ask you to overwrite if you do it twice? When I collect it using the button, no. If I didn't collect it using the button, it would overwrite what's in there. What if we do a crew report right here? Yeah. And if I just put everything back in, and then we press 2 to collect everything. And then I do 1 again. Do another pressure scan, another crew report. Obviously, we've done all the science from here. And then what this is going to do, if I press 2 again, it should say that there's 3 things that can't go in there. Yeah, all 3 of them would overwrite what's in here, so everything we have done was collected. And it'll do the same thing for the EVA. So if I do an EVA right now, obviously we get no science because we did it before. And then I collect it once. That's the only green thing. If I get out again, do it one more time. Go back in, press 2 again, and now there's no green stuff. Now there's 4 things that don't get collected. Collect from the cap outside. We don't need to, it's already in the box. There's nothing in the capsule right now. There is something in the capsule. What? Alright, I stand corrected. Oh, that's the 2 things that were copied. So if we didn't already put stuff in there, it would have been collected. If I revert. I get out and do an EVA. We go back in, we do a crew report. Right, obviously, by clicking on it, view store data, there's 1. I guess I have to be outside to see that there's 2. So take 2 data. If I press 2, it should go to 0. But I think I have to do it while inside. So you guys saw that there was 2. I just collected it all. We get outside, now there's no signs. So it does get collected by doing the action group. And then the only time it stays in the pod after being collected is if it's a duplicate, because it won't put a duplicate of science in the storage container, even if I pick it up and try to put it in there with a Kerbal. It will, on the other hand, put a new crew report if it's a different biome. But we're only in this biome. And this should be starting closed. I don't know why it's starting opened. We're gonna have to change that. But pretty much all I wanted to test is if it stays upright and how far down the ladder goes. So we're going to do a little bounce. And the ladder goes like 2 steps lower than it needs to. Yeah, there's two steps there. I extend it while we are here. 1 just went underneath, 2 just went on. So I think I need this at the same height as the landing gear. So we're going to get rid of 1 ladder. One of these 3 prongs part. Alright, revert flight. Oh, this is why it started opened. Okay, get rid of you. You go here. Save that. We're going to start it just to see if the ladder still works the same way. I had the ladder where it was originally because it looked like it wasn't going under the ground. And now we topple over. Okay, so I'm going to have to try and do this quickly, pressing G. Oh. Alright, there's another way to do this. Boop. But I want this whole thing a little bit closer. Okay, so I'm gonna press G, get them started extending, and then I'm gonna press space. So that we're only supported by our landing gears. And what I want to know is if I can get all the way down and back up. Alright, on the ground, that's good. Because I want to be able to do a surface sample on Minmus in every biome, just to see if it does anything differently. I'm not sure. It did do stuff differently on Kerbal, but that was Kerbal. I also didn't spend time yesterday flying around off stream to do the extra leftover science of every biome. So I'm going to have to do that at some point. I might do that today and tomorrow. Depends on what we end up doing. Okay, so this whole entire rocket, except for the bottom RCS. I don't need this anymore. We want to keep them... They don't have to be in the same spot on the bottom. But what I was told is that you want them equally separated from the center of mass. But you just need the same amount of these thrusters. You don't need them in the same spot. So I could put like a third here and have them 3 in different spaces compared to right here. But since I think I have space without touching the landers or the ladder here, I am going to roughly guess where distance is. I think it'd be pretty much at the bottom here. So, 3-way symmetry, and then let's take a look around to see if it's being blocked by anything. It is not! And they're all in black squares, that's cool. Can I make this look any cooler? That's just black and white. That's just white. That looks a little cooler. I don't think the Science Junior has that. Neither do the Service Space. But the pod does. So we can go either just white or white with a stripe. The stripe kind of matches the bottom, so I'm actually going to do that. Alright, now the next thing we have to do is make this a sub-assembly. So I saved it as its own rocket so that we can tweak it later on. But I now need to bring this up. Added the coupler just on the bottom. We need to press 4 to get the reroute tool and reroute to the decoupler. So now no matter what we move, if we click on the decoupler, remove the entire thing. And now I need to go into the subassembly mode thing, just right here. Oh, that's orbital boosters. That's just something that can put something in Kerbal orbit if it's less than 46 tons. These are relay satellites, and this is the lander that we put on Minmus. So you in here. Now I can place you back. We were calling this Moonhopper. We're gonna call this a small science rocket. Of hopping to different biomes. Oh, there's a character limit. Okay. People, first for science then. No, I shouldn't call that a rocket. I should call that a lander. Can I edit the name? Oh, that just brings it up. How do I... You know what? We're just gonna delete it. Now I can just grab this one and put it back in. There we go. And I should have probably labeled that as a rocket instead of... Or a lander instead of a rocket. How do I do that before flying? I don't think I can set this as a lander before flying it. Okay, anyway, we're gonna get rid of this entire thing. We're gonna go back to our normal stuff, and we want a fairing, which is payload. I do have this larger fairing, so we could start out with a larger starting point. Or we could just go off of our normal. I think we might be wide enough that it'd probably be beneficial to use this one just for looks. Then we could use a bigger booster on the bottom. I didn't realize but there was one up here. It also says on OBS that I just got reconnected to chat, so we may have lost internet a little bit there for a second. Hopefully it wasn't very noticeable. What we're going to do now is we're going to put a decoupler inside here. Just fixing my legs. And I'm going to go for this larger one that fits the size of it. And then if we go into our subassembly, grab our Moonhopper and place it right in the center. And as you can see now, it's pretty much the width of this larger decoupler, or larger fairing. So, we grab you. No, I don't want to grab it. I want to right click and then build fairing. I am pretty much just going to build this straight up, but I think we might actually want to use a smaller decoupler for that. So let's use the normal one. That way it's not showing through the fairing as I build it. And then this, I just need to go straight up a few times. So we get to... Do we get to here? Let me just go straight in. It looks good enough. I also didn't set this up, so I like to have these at max pressure and an altitude of 2 kilometers. We're not going to use this on Minmus to slow us down. This is for re-entry into Kerbal. We probably are also going to need some fins, right? We're going to break this off. Re-entry into Kerbal. We're going to try this at some point. What I want to do now... Whoa, why is this over here? Is there anything else I'm just not seeing because I'm zoomed in too far? Doesn't look like it. Anyway. I want... to look at different things over here. We're going to obviously use our newer engines, which are quite large, so we take a look at this booster here. That's the newer size. This is the width of the ones we've been using. So it has a lot of fuel in it. We also have a longer one. Does it hold more fuel though? 720, 880. It does hold double. Okay. Going off in the name, it didn't seem like it held more. Because it's still an X200. But I guess it's the dash 16-32 that makes it double. And then that's the 8, so that's the skinnier. Okay. Anyway. This one rocket is going to be responsible for getting us into at least moon orbit. Are there 2 engines down here? Oh, I need to set up the phasing for it. You down here. And you down here, you here. Right? Bearing should be down here. Nope. Yes. And yes for that. This is by itself. So that's only 900 meters per second. That's almost enough to make it all the way. So I think if I just add another thing of fuel in here, that's definitely more than enough, I think. With a little bit extra to spare. So we need a total of 1170, and that's 1205. This is once we already get in orbit. So we are going to need another decoupler. What's a stack decoupler? Is it just a skinnier one? I don't know what the difference is. Designed for slicing a large rocket in twain. Unlike decouplers, separators will eject anything connected to themselves. This is good as it removes the need to worry about which side needs to be pointed away from trace. Try not to look at it too much though. So maybe we should start using the stack separators, because it ejects both parts away from it. One side, both its verse sides are disconnected. Alright, that would mean that this isn't connected to anything. But I actually want to stay with this for now. Alright, this is our get to Minmus rocket. Did I die already? You did! We were playing around with cheats and we put a lander on Minmus. And then we lost control with the land rover, so we gave up on that idea. But at the end of it, I was just having fun spinning around as fast as I could, and we destroyed Jebediah. But then we reset the launch, so technically he's not dead, but he did die in an alternate timeline. Mind the arrow? It's true. This should be correct. It should stick to the part that it's pointing away from. Okay. So this next rocket, along with the boosters, needs to have 3,600 meters per second, or a little bit more. I don't think our sub-assembly rocket booster will be able to contain this weight. If I look here. 43 tons! It actually might be strong enough to do this. It's just a lot skinnier. So I think we might redesign this entire thing. Did I get bigger boosters than the thumpers? I did get bigger boosters than the thumpers. No, wait, that says 11 kilonewtons. These are weaker, so they must be smaller. They are smaller. Then I'm looking at a kickback instead. 250, 300 compared to more than double of both. I want to say 2.3 maybe? 2.1 times more? You should add an inverse booster for the challenge? To just throw us down? I'm not gonna do that. We definitely want this booster for this rocket. That'll add a lot of thrust to it. What are the differences between these two? So the one that I put on the rocket already is better in vacuum. So that's definitely the correct one on that for that size. The skipper is what we're going to use to get into orbit. So I am just going to alt-click on this. Why are we on 4-way symmetry? Oh, we're on 3-way. Let's take that off. I'm going to add that right here. Now, it does include the rocket there. So if I get rid of that, we place you right here. And then I am just going to add these ever so slowly. So I'm going to start with just one here so I can add this to it. And then we're going to move it up. We're going to move it up. There we go. Because I want them roughly the same height on the bottom. That's close enough. Symmetry there, we are going to add more symmetry. This is just to get the first booster set up and ready, so that when we copy it, it's the same booster around the entire thing. So what I'm going to want is one of these. I do have snapping on, so that should be the center of that portion. And right there. Good enough straight line. I could move the decoupler up more into the middle to make it a little bit more stable, but I'm hoping that if I put the decoupler on the bottom like this, it'll be top heavy and float away from the rocket. I don't think I have the mini boosters for separating engines quicker. I mean, we have RCS that I could use, but that's not the same thing. So anyway, let's get nose cone. I think I need the bigger ones now. Let's use the cool funky ones, because it might be more aerodynamic. Like that. Can't you do whatever I do an X number of times with equal spacing? I can. I am going to be doing, I think, 6-way symmetry on this. Let's write out intake. So if I put this here, and then we click on the decoupler, I'll grab the whole thing. I place it here, and then do 6-way symmetry. The boosters are a little bit lower than the main booster, so I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is this being there. Where's the decoupler between that? You're way up here. Why are you way up there? It should be right here. So we start the boosters, we break them off, and we switch to this one. It gives us a lot more speed. We might actually need boosters at all. No, struts actually detach immediately when you decouple. We will have a piece of the strut being stuck to the rocket, but the whole thing breaks off when you decouple the engine. But looking at these two numbers, we... Oh wait, no, I need to combine them. I'm looking at the number incorrectly. And I'm going to use a calculator because we're going to ignore this. That's getting through space. That's to get us 2 Minmus. So we need the 2 bottom numbers to equal roughly 3,600. 1384. That is not even close to the number we need. So let's do the opposite here. Let's subtract the velocity of the 5th stage from 3,600. So we need, with this middle booster, roughly 2,216 meters per second in delta velocity. So I'm going to take these off and just save them, because we're obviously going to use them again. And I think all I'm going to have to do is just add another fuel, honestly. We're definitely getting to the point where it's going to be too heavy. If I open the memory of this, keep that on my screen. If I put these back on 6-way symmetry, if I can click on the decoupler. There we go. Does this change in its velocity? It does change. It is all of a sudden more. No, now it's less. Okay, that's what I expected. I expected this to go a little bit lower. If we move these up to being with this... I don't think that changed at all, with the boosters being part of it. So it's 1792 now. It's still 1792. How did these not change that? I think what I might do is not use these boosters. And I might create a booster out of this portion here. So I'm going to click on this, take it off. ISP, TWR ratio is heavier stuff, but overall less ISP, for example. That's a fair point to look at. We don't need to worry about this. Do we need to worry about this one? That's probably enough to get off of Minmus. This one we don't have to worry about at all because it's going to be in space already. So this is 0.58 TWR. If we just add 2 of them as boosters, that would be enough to at least get us off the ground. So I'm going to alt-click on that. We are going to grab this and put on two-way symmetry at first. Take the booster off. And then I'm going to put this on here, which for some reason wants me to do the bottom. Let's move this all the way up. I can't put it all the way up. Why does it do weird things like that? So if it can only go to the top of the second fuel, I will just move this decoupler to the top of the second fuel. Now they should be relatively the same height, and then we just move the decoupler down. From a stability standpoint, this should be a little bit more stable. And there we go. And then they all went to this one. I want them down here. I'm doing the math right now. For these boosters to work, we are actually very close to just being able to do it with just this. Touch stuff can be moved within a little radius. That's true. We only need, on this one, about 200 more meters per second. So if I do the reverse, and I subtract that from our total, we need this bottom one to be 1808 or more. So what happens when I add more fuel to it? Let's do the halfway one. That is the exact number. I am a little skeptical that's going to be enough for us, so I'm going to add an even smaller amount of fuel on top of that. For accidents, because we all know me at this point. And then let's do the aerodynamic cone. That is not big enough. That is. So now what I want to do is make a way that this won't decouple. Why? If I make the root, this bottom portion, way better. Happy accidents, Bob Ross style, 100%. Alright, gotta run. Have fun, Cloud Cover. If I take this off, can I reroute it? To right there. I can! Okay, because I want the decouplers actually down here, where they were. And then if I stay on the decoupler and just move up, apparently I have to go to that. No, that was on the rocket itself. Okay. We're gonna change the height after. Why is it there? I want you on the decoupler. Way out here. Why is it not connecting to the decoupler? Maybe it is, I'm gonna have to move it out more. Because it is two-way symmetry, so I know it's connecting to something correctly. Turn COS so that we can get these looking like they're at least touching. No, not that. The whole thing. Right there looks good. And then a little bit up. Okay, and then what else do we need? Fins, I think, is the last thing. We're gonna need some sort of structural support for up here. I do want symmetry here and snapping on, so I go in the middle of this. I don't like how it does the middle of where we first place it, but then it doesn't do a snapping for where we connect this to. Like, I have no idea if this is in the center of the rocket or not. Alright, this for sure is more than enough to get into orbit. This is way more than we need to go from orbit to Mun. And then this is everything else. So I want to see if vessel has no remote control or main command modules. That is a lie. We have a capsule right here. Let's put Jebediah in there for now. I had to pick it up and then place it back down for it to work. Alright, let's see if this does it. And it looks like Wellbred just went live. Neat. Okay, it does stand up. We're gonna do a test. No, we can't do a test. I don't have any fins. This won't really fly well. I was gonna do a test to get into orbit. Why is it separated? What happened here? Okay, so whatever bug happened earlier, it's not doing that anymore. So now they're accurately separated. Would the real Slim Rocket please stand up? The song. Okay, bring that up. That's where it's gonna stay. Okay, now I'm going to add fins. Do I want the winglets or do I want the deluxe winglet? Or do I want tail fin? I don't know what would make it necessarily better other than the weight. So this is 0.1. This is less than 0.1. The tail fin is more than the winglet. So I think we go for the winglet just to not get heavier. And I'm going to do this on 4-way symmetry. I'm going to play it safe, use tail fins, but they are a bit heavier. That's true. Let's try this, and if anything, we'll just go back to the tail fins, because it's what we have been using for a little bit. That is 4. We shouldn't really have to worry too much about our weight. I think we went down a little tiny bit in our velocity, but not by much. This is a very tall rocket. We are probably going to have a bunch of wobbling. Because there's a lot of sections here, and the more sections I put on a rocket, the more it seems to want to wobble. We could shorten this rocket by putting 4 of these that are smaller. For example, if we did 2 of these big portions instead of the smaller ones, and then we put 4 of them, that would probably be the same as this, being doubled. And then we could probably chop this in half a little bit too. Not sure. This stands pretty well on its own, so I'm just gonna go with it for now. We'll see how well it does. I'm gonna assume it's not gonna fly very well. This is a test to get into orbit to see how it flies. This is not us finishing what we're doing here. We do not have enough TWR to get up. With all the medium parts, it is still considered the first one because we do not know what we need to change. And I can tell that we need more thrust. So if we go back in, and I take a look at the TWR, that's only half of what we need to get up. But if we combine the two of them, we should be good. Now, why didn't this change? Oh, it was because of that. I mean, we lost velocity by doing that, compared to when we had them separated. That's also not enough for us to get up. We need TWR of at least 1 to get out. So if there's a Porygon too, and it did the Porygon noise because that has the word Porygon in it. I'm gonna try and catch that because it's an evolved Pokemon. It's not Gen 1, but I don't have it. 1.3 to 1.5, yes. That is what I meant by 1.3 is safer. So I'm going to take this off, and we're going to do 4-way symmetry. And I need to move it down slightly. Because now that we have 4, I want these to be what keeps it tight. From falling over, I mean. Alright, now how much do we have? Only 75. I don't know how to fix this. With what we have. It looks like I caught Porygon. It's the Slicky. If in doubt, more booster, but I don't think I can fit 6 of these in here. I might be able to. Let's try putting 6. We're gonna have to get rid of the fins, which is gonna be an issue flying later. I might have to add the... we'll see. Put boosters on my boosters? I've never tried that. Is that viable? It is... I mean, that would be a way... Rings of Fire, I call them. It would be the only way that I can picture in my head that we keep the fins where they were. Let's see what happens when we put 6. And then we'll try multiple boosters. If I do one more tab there. That's 6-way symmetry. Oh, we do have space for fins if we put 6 of them in there. That's still not enough. We're just adding more weight. We're getting a lot more velocity, but we're not getting more thrust doing this. Welcome back, Gino. Do I have an unlure command? I don't think I have an unlure command. Also, I think my camera is slowly angling upwards the longer it's sitting here. I do have an unlure command. Look at that. I really didn't think I did. I made that so long ago. Alright, compared to when we had 4 thrusters, I think we only gained like 0.04 thrust to weight ratio. I definitely know there's not a relark command. I have an idea. Don't know if it's gonna work. We're gonna try it. I don't want the whole rocket. I just wanted one of these. There we go. No, not right click. That grabbed the entire rocket underneath. There we go. I'm gonna put this back on 2-way. That's not enough velocity all of a sudden. How much thrust to weight? See, we only lost like 0.05 thrust to weight ratio. So what if I add these? Along with these. Because they weren't strong enough to get us up. Use better fuel. This is the only fuel we have for this size. I mean, I could just add more fuel to this, but then that's going to make us way more, and our thrust to weight ratio is going to go down. We have this much fuel so that we have enough speed, enough velocity. But I only have these 3 options here that are this size. Everything up here is too small. I do have this external fuel duct, which we could try and mess with. For those that don't know, it will connect the containers here together so that they run out equally. Let's see if that would help, because I think it might with this last booster. So if I go like this to just right here. Take note of the arrows. It means it's going to take from this one and go into here. And that looks like it did absolutely nothing to anything. TWR didn't go up. I don't think our velocity went up. If I do Control Z, that takes it away. It actually made us have half the velocity. So we're definitely not going to use them. What I'm going to do for right now is take this off, put it to the side. Because we are going to put the other thrusters on here. Now I want to have the decoupler. You know what? That's actually a good spot. Move you up. Right here. We don't have to move any further than that. Next thing I want is the aerodynamic cone. And then I want to put this on 6-way symmetry. Like this. Remove symmetry on that. Remove symmetry on this. Now, when I take this off, takes the engine with it. That's what I wanted. This off. Welcome in, Raiders! It's gonna spin so hard. It probably will spin. So, welcome in, Raiders. If you don't know me, my name is CodedMan9000. We play a selection of video games, which all different kinds. Mostly colony city builders. And Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, we play a Twitch Plays Along series called Stone to Space, where we are playing all of my games in an order that's kind of like mankind's evolution. So we did a chapter on like medieval city builders, like manor lords. We did our second chapter, which we finished last month, in pretty much facing City Skylines 2. Now we are doing our first game in the third chapter of Kerbal Space Program. So our plan here is to get to Duna, which counts as Mars, and then we go into our next game, which is going to be Infraspace. So, feel free to lurk. Make sure to get up and stretch, get something to drink, get something to eat. Welcome in Rikus and Mr. Rusty. Glad to see you came back. I see someone may have forgotten their raid message because I wasn't there to stop them. It also looks like I raided it myself. So if I just do that, after a few seconds, it will say that I raided myself. I also see that Willow raided Wellbred. We have that up. You're a bad mod for sure. I was busy. I'm sorry. I can't always be there to help you. Welcome in, Wolfie. I don't know if people pronounce the D. Should I be saying Dwolfie or just Wolfie? I've heard Sophie call you Wolfie. Woo, Rig is Ray, T or something. Okay, what we are doing right now, for those that weren't here, is we have a science lander here that is going to pretty much be hopping from different biomes on Minmus. And we have been spending like an hour just trying to create the booster. So if we look at our stages, this third stage is just a rocket to get from Kerbal orbit to Minmus. That's the only thing this middle rocket's doing. Everything below it, including these, is just to get into orbit, and we're having issues. As important as the D is, it's silent. Okay. Good to know, Wolfie. So I want to grab this decoupler, and we are going to put it down here. We only want this on two-way symmetry for what I'm trying to test out. So if I put that there, and then we're gonna have to try and move it to being about the same height. I'm not gonna make it exact. I actually want them up a little bit more. So this booster, I need to see where everything is now. If I close that, that's the main booster. This is the, or that's the main rocket. This is the main boosters. This is the secondary boosters. And I think I want them separated. Not like that. I want the 4 down here. What's 27 plus 9? Is that close to 36? I think it is. I think we just figured it out. What's the thrust to weight ratio, though? Almost 1.3. That's close enough. And then this should already be in space already. Or not in space, but in motion. I think we did it. What I don't like is where these cones are pointed, though. If I pick them up... Oh, that's on the move tool. I want to pick this up and just place them back down. Will they point inwards? No. Okay. So let's do the rotate tool. But only on this. It should also rotate everything else that it is symmetry locked to. And I just want you pointed inwards. Like that. We also did not put any struts on the top of these boosters. Let's do that now. I want snapping, and I want to be somewhere in the center of this. And then let's go up to the same spot up here. I don't think it placed it in. Is it putting 4 within the booster itself? No, because for a second I can actually see them on the sides. Why does it delete them like that? I think it's because I'm putting it on the nose cone. If I put you there, and then bring you back up here again, are you going to disappear? You are! For some reason, it is connecting the strut to the same booster it's on. How do I fix that? Do you go from the main rocket down to them? Actually, I do want two-way symmetry because that'll put it on the booster on the other side. So if I go from there to here... Alright, it puts on a nose cone. I'm fine with that. That's what we're going to do then. I want two-way symmetry though. Good enough. Auto strut? Never done that before. I also don't know what you mean by auto strut. I don't see anything on here that says auto strut. Oh, auto strut right there, disabled. And right there. I want to see what it does if I auto strut it. Enabled. Did it just auto strut to the boosters next to it? Root part. Oh, I get what it's doing. Okay. If I accept it, it'll be strutted to those. If I do root part, it goes all the way up to the top, which I'm guessing is this booster. Let's do that. That's already connected. So if I click on this and auto strut to root part, I want to see where what it counts as the root part actually. Disabled. Heaviest part, root part. It goes all the way up to the fairing module. That is okay. So if we save this and then launch, what does it look like? It's not strutted at all. And this is the wobbling I was concerned about before. Alright. We're gonna have to add those back in. No big deal. But now I know to go off of the nose cone instead of the booster itself. Go, go, go. That was too wobbly. We would have lost control. I'll go to here. Another one will go on nose cone up to here, and now all of a sudden it's doing all four at once. Okay, that should be good enough stability. Now, I did see that it was wobbling a lot between these two portions here. So I am thinking about adding a strut from this fuel. Actually, no, where are our rockets? That's the rocket going to Minmus. If I do four-way to down here, it only struts to the decoupler. Forget that idea then. Oh, we also need wings. I forgot to add them back in. Can I do four? Can I get away? Four. No, one of them's in the booster. Can I get away with three? I don't think I can. That's not in a booster. Oh, that's not a booster. Okay, we're gonna do 3 then. Because the only other way I can do this is 3 or 6. The way Regus was struggling with Star Trek, you would think he was playing this. What? I forgot to ask, how was the end of the game? Did you finish the game? I would be very surprised if you finished the game today. Alright. Don't know if we have enough thrust to weight ratio now. But we're going to try this. We still have the right amount of velocity. We do still have the thrust. The game broke, it kept locking up. Okay, SAS on. Obviously we have to do full throttle. Because we have liquid fuel thrusters as well as solid state. My phaser to thrust ratio was all wrong? Oh no. Alright, let's get going. I'm gonna open a maneuver node so that I can see how close we are to the highest spot. I like to wait until we get to 50 meters per second before I start tilting. And this is going to be a relatively slow ascent. So now if I just go to right here, we should keep bobbing back and forth, kind of following our prograde, but not staying in it. Actually, we might be able to just follow prograde. Because we're about halfway to where I want to be when we reach 90, so we'll be a little bit above 90. Or I guess 45 degrees of a orbit there. We're about to be out of our first boosters. So if I break them off, nothing broke. We are still going up, but I'm a little concerned. Thrust to weight ratio is still 1. Now I'm going to take us off prograde now. We'll just stay right here as we go up. And we're just waiting to see if we can get up to 70 kilometers. Who is our sacrificial lamb? It is you, Slicky. It's Jebediah. This is just a test. We actually should go through the entire staging of this and see how it lands in Kerbin. Because we might have to change different things of the lander itself to make sure that it can come back home. Protect them at all costs. We're gonna see. Alright, now I'm all out of water, so I'm gonna need to get more. Is there any on top of the fridge? There is. Can you guys see it? That's Tori's bowl. This right here is a picture in my camera. Do we have a parachute at least? Yes, we do. I always put a parachute, even if I don't think we're going to use it. We're getting pretty high up. I also noticed that our angle is getting more height. I might have to adjust for height. Pretty soon we'll be out of the atmosphere. I think the atmosphere ends at 50. Obviously space doesn't start until we're at 70 kilometers, but I think the atmosphere ends at 50. Okay, we're at 70. Let's go for 80. Now that I know we can make it to 70. There we go. And then we are going to slowly rotate the rocket. Actually, if I just go full prograde, I don't have to worry about going too fast to get to prograde. And then we'll after we get into prograde, we'll cut off it and then go to the horizontal. This does rotate very slowly. And we're about to be in our low orbit. So I'm just holding right, trying to get us to the horizontal line. Before prograde gets there, because that would mean that we met our AP, our highest point. Alright, we're going a little too far down. I'm trying to pull us back up, but it's not really working. I don't have much control here. I just locked on prograde to try and get us up. We are going to boost this way, aiming for prograde. Because that at least brings us back to it. And then I want to stay off prograde now. We're just going to keep burning, watching our periapsis and our apopsis. I do want to make them relatively equal. And it looks like our middle thruster just lost. Or just ran out. Which I'm surprised that it ran out before the boosters. We're getting pretty close to an orbit velocity. So I'm going to get us closer to our apoapsis, and then we'll burn the rest into our orbit. And the easiest way to do that would be just to warp to it. Because now when we go past it as we're burning, that should mean that our apoapsis doesn't go as high. Well, yeah, 97 to 83, that's pretty good. So if, now at this point, I know these boosters do not need to be decoupled at all. Because we use them, we've run out this one first. I could do that thing where we put the fuel so it goes into here. That would mean that the boosters run out first of fuel. I just remembered that time when we played KSP for Kebby. I got this specifically as how Kebby played. Alright, so if I break off the first stage, that'll be the two boosters. Now, they look like they're still stuck to a rocket, but they're not. I also don't know why we are rotating like that. We just broke off that next one, so now we do the fairing. And then we have this booster, the remaining stuff, for just getting to Minmus. At 4,800 meters per second. That accounts for 860 meters per second. Oh, I'm looking at MUN. Hold on. There we go. Now I'm looking at Minmus. We need a total of... What am I looking at here? Oh, there we go. We need a total of 930 meters per second to get to Minmus. Then another 150 meters per second with about 10 kilometers height to orbit Minmus. And then everything after that is based on this rocket, which for some reason says 0 meters per second. I don't know why it says 0. I get the feeling that it's going to have 0 speed. Hello, Tori. What do you want? You have food, so I'm not giving you treats on my own accord. We definitely have more fuel than we need. We could probably cut this in half. Now that we are in space. I didn't check the velocity while in space. I checked it on land. Because we only need, what, like... 1,200 meters per second? 1,200? We need less than that for sure, but more would give us words. Anyway, we know this can fly. So what I want to do is, I guess, lock on prograde. Turn RCS on so that we fly a little bit quicker. What's the key for toggling RCS? That's something I don't know. I know T toggles SAS, but what toggles RCS? Is it Y? Oh no, you just loaded the battle again and changed nothing and somehow it works. I hate when games do that. Would Y be toggling RCS? No. What toggles RCS? G is landing gears. I don't want to open them, actually. Not a ladder's going into the booster. Retract that, please. We're just going to turn that off. R? Regus? Why did I never think of R for RCS? There are times where I feel like I come off as a complete idiot, and this is one of them. R, according to the new Android AI. I don't want to say it because then my phone's going to do it. I also refuse to use it. Alright, we were just going to see how this goes back into orbit, or into landing. So I'm just going to burn retrograde. Get as close to that 35-kilometer height. I'm going to go a little bit below it. Alright, 34.5 is good enough. I'm going to turn RCS off. Actually, no, I'm going to keep it on, because we need to go prograde to break off this booster. I do prefer that, Slicky. I don't want to say it again, because my phone will go off. For some reason, you have the secondary one for AI in Opera. What is Opera? Isn't that a computer? Something to do with computers? Like an operating system? When Willow was playing Synergy, she kept saying, I have to find a tablet. It's setting off your Google speaker. Oh, right, because that would... Opera is a browser. Yeah. Like Google Chrome, Opera is a browser. Gotcha. I knew what it was, I just forgot, I guess. Which... Is Opera more of a Samsung operating system? Because the new AI is a Samsung thing, it's not an Android thing. Or is it the new Google AI? I'm not sure, I just don't want to use a different AI. You don't have a tablet connected to it, and it just kept saying, cannot find tablet now? Samsung's AI is Bixby. Gotcha. I do remember that now. Can you turn SAS back on? We need to lock on retrograde. Now, what we have here is still another booster, because I'm hoping that after we are done getting all the science we can get, we can use this booster to come back here. Welcome in, Stovey 4x4 or 4x4. I believe you came in maybe last stream on Saturday. I do recognize your name, but I don't remember how long ago. Anyway, we are going back into low orbit at some point. I'm going to speed us up. I'm not going to make us wait any longer now that we are able to lock on prograde, or retrograde, I mean. So now we are within the atmosphere. That is our engine. So I'm just going to get us... Not that button. Closer at this point. We should be able to stay retrograde now. Actually, I should at this point use this to slow us down. Then at some point I want to switch to prograde, break this off, and then switch back to retrograde. Because we have a heat shield right here. So I don't know how long to wait before we do that. We're also slowing down very slowly. So I don't think it's actually worth using this to slow us down. To help us our descent. So I think we might just ignore that idea and use as much of it to get here and back. Or to get to Minmus and back. So I'm going to break this off. It's also going to deploy the parachute. Or at least stage it. And we should still have the ability to lock retrograde. We do have a little bit of RCS, which helps. And it looks like we are starting to heat up already. At some point, that rocket is going to fly past us very quickly. Hopefully it doesn't hit us. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. Not a lot, because I want to see what happens when it's on fire. I want to know if the solar panels break off. I want to know if the RCS breaks off, the ladder. Hopefully we land with all of this, because our science is going to be stored inside here. There's our heat damage coming up. Boo, you've been falsely given hope. What do you mean? You wanted to see Jebediah not make it? I think Regus would have something to say against that. It looks like we're going correctly. Classic coded, lying to people. You know, I can't even deny that because I am editing the trading card simulator side story of chapter 2. And I said in 3 separate streams, alright guys, this is the last time we're playing this game. And then by the end of that stream, I'm like, well, we gotta play it one more time, I guess. I am very surprised that nothing is breaking off. Like, there's not even a heat bar. It is also getting hot in my room. Let me just turn on the air conditioner that's behind the monitor. Did that go on? I don't think it did. No, it is. Is the other one on? No, it is for sure. Okay. Alright. We should be... The mug redeem told me it's in stock. When I tried to redeem it, it told me that I can't. It's because I should have set it to being only redeemable once per stream, but not to a time. So it's not like every 15 minutes you can redeem it, it's once per stream. So it might be doing that weird thing there. KSP first stream, I should be to Mars in 4 hours. That's true. I was so excited to do that I thought I could make it in one stream. Alright, let's slow down so the parachute deploys correctly. I even have a message this time and all. Oh no. The message was, ooh, I can roll again? 5. All hail the mug dictator. How's KSP today? We spent a lot of time making this rocket, and right now we're testing it. So I'm going to assume we're going to be able to get to Minmus this stream, but not do any science on Minmus. I think that's going to be saved for Wednesday's stream. And then, I don't know after that. So let's fast forward until we get closer to landing, and then... You opened the parachute on the moon? No. I opened the parachute when we broke off the last rocket. Slow down so we don't get too hot as we land. This is just Kerbin. We never made it to Minmus. We were testing how we can get into orbit. What happened here? Did the Science Junior break off? Or is it that this isn't the route? I don't know what's going on here. We don't need it because we have... Uh-oh. So the route is the heat shield, and I can't recover it because it's going further into the water. Can I switch to this? We're gonna have to change that. I now have to reset all the way to the vehicle assembly. We're gonna have to change that. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna take a quick break because I need to use the restroom and also have a snack. I'm starting to get the shakes from being hungry. So I will be back in a few minutes. Brackets? I forgot about brackets. Brackets changes to the closest vehicle body near you. But still, we are going to make sure that the heat shield is not the route. Anyway, I will be right back. Oh, before I do that, I should point out that we have a new Be Right Back scene. So, we have a video of all of the clips, and I was mixing them evenly, so it was one clip from the channel, and then Dyson Sphere video, and then another clip of the channel, back and forth. We now have more channel clips than we have Dyson Sphere Program. So I'm now playing all of our clips in order from when everyone uploaded it, and I also put the name of the clip that you guys had made for it, and who uploaded it. So we're going to see that about 75% of the clips are all uploaded by Regus. There's maybe 3 clips, including one that I made, that are not made by Regus. So enjoy the clips of our channel made by Regus, and I will be back. And get to Minmus. I will, at some point, move the shelf to over here. There won't be anything on it, though, until we, actually, there might be stuff on it, just to be a placeholder. So, what I want to do up here... First, zoom in. I need to check if Blueprints has colorblind mode or not. My only reason that you didn't get it. I think it would. I'm not sure if it would, but I think it would. So let's reroute to the cabin. Let me just place it in. And then there's other things that I forget what we're gonna do. I think it was to make the fuel from this booster go into the main rocket so that this rocket stays going and the boosters die out first. Where was that? Is it in fuel? It is in fuel. It was supposed to be in an update. Don't know if it's been implemented yet. That's fair. Oh, we don't want a 4-way symmetry. Just 2-way. So if I grab from here to here, it does nothing. Why not? I have to go down here into there? Looks like I did. So now all of the fuel should drain... Like, these 3 boosters are going to drain everything out of this and this one. And then we break them off, and then we only have the fuel that's in this main booster. So again, this is only Mark 1. We're not changing much about it. This is just main tweaks. I should call this Mark 1 with boosters. Because really, the Moonhopper Mark 1 is the Land Rover, or the lander, that has its own name. So if I just go in here real quick. Force Science Lander Mark 2. We already had made a lander. Didn't realize that. Where is it? Oh, I went right past it. Delete. Yes. Now we only have with boosters there. I want to look at this. We already made a lander in our previous stream that I could have been using this whole time. I'm guessing one of these has batteries in it. Batteries and the storage container. It has ladders going down, so I know I used this recently. Well, that's true, we didn't put lights on our lander. We might come back to this later. But for now, we're just going to fly this rocket and see how it does. I should probably change the bob first, actually. So we were going to change. Crew, get rid of Jebediah. Put Bob in so you can reset our science stuff when we're using it. And now we're good to go. Having that weird audio thing. I don't think I'm going to be hearing the boosters anymore. You guys hear the wind. I hear a tapping noise. I don't hear the boosters at all right now. So I don't know what's going on with audio. It also looks like we're pulling to one side. I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, we're going to start going to the right. Try and pull our prograde vector over. Our heading did change quite a bit. So I'm trying to pull our heading down. There we go, that's good. Lock on prograde. I'm not too worried about going exactly on east, going 90. I think it's better than not doing it. So those are solid fuel boosters. We'll break them off. We should be running through these two fuel now. And at this point, no more prograde. Just go this way the entire time. So that we can bring up our AP. I put Bob in here because if we can make it all the way to Minmus, we're going to do the science. Or actually, we should just get into orbit with Minmus and then call it. Because we have about 25 minutes left of this stream. Minimum. At least this way, I should be going through the boosters before the middle one, so I won't be staging weirdly. And I will still have the middle booster for rotating the rocket. We meant to lower one of these fuels, didn't we? Hold on, I just remembered that. Because we had way too much velocity in space. We still have too much, actually. If anything, that gave us more. So we could do a smaller fuel. Which will also impact everything below it. Hopefully we're better at taking off. So what I'm gonna do is we are going to change stuff. Before I forget. I want to take these off and these off so that I can go like this. And we're gonna play around to see how much fuel I need. Do I need one of these? How much velocity do I get in space? 2,366. We will already be in orbit at this point. I need 930 plus 150. 1080? We'll call it 11? So I think I can go even smaller fuel than that. That's a little bit extra. That's good. And then all of this is more than enough to get up. Alright. Let's save this as Mark 1. Because we still haven't gone to Minmus yet. There's no point in making it a Mark 2 if it hasn't completed the task. Alright, let's see how much... Oh, I didn't put the struts back on. Alright, the struts. We have to have them. Structure. So, let me just zoom in. I click nose. To here. It should be four-way symmetry. I don't know why it's not doing symmetry mode. What if I put symmetry on first? There we go, now it's actually doing symmetry. Not much help in voting, I'm lurking while I'm working. That's okay. It's never required to vote. And then grab you to here. Alright, that should be it. I don't think we need to work on anything else. The lander maybe has more fuel than it needs. I didn't mean to pick that up. I don't know if that did anything, but let's press Z just to make sure. Right, now it's back where it was. And I'm going to bring this whole thing down just for visual with the camera. Now remember, we did not put any antennas on this at all, so there's no transmitting signs. Let's fly. Alright, this is a serious launch now. I don't think we need to worry about anything else. Why? What? Why are we unable to take off now? What the heck? I think the staging messed up or something. We are going to Minmus. Why didn't we have enough thrust? We took weight off. 1.3. I don't know what happened. We have those four boosters, the two on the side, and then the one in the middle. Oh, I didn't pull full throttle on the liquid boosters. It was only going off of the four small ones, the solid things. That's what happened. Now we're going. I I knew it wasn't the staging. Like, there's no way I misstaged it like that. Alright, we're gonna burn a little bit to the right. I'm gonna try to put our heading on 90, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it. That's close enough. I'm gonna lock on prograde now. We are slightly lower than 90, but I'm fine with that. And right about the 60 point, we should be at 5 kilometers. Looks like it's going well. If anything, we're actually going down too fast. So I'm trying to pull us back a little bit. There is a Slowbro in chat. That is a Gen 1 Pokemon. I'm going to be trying to catch that in a minute. Alright, we're here at the midpoint. I'm going to not lock on prograde and break off our boosters. That's the first time the boosters ever hit the rocket and actually broke something. Revert the launch. I'm going to, in the meantime, try and catch this Slowbro. Forgot full throttle on the other boosters. Alright. I'm going to, at this point, try to not change our heading at all. And just go east. Get to about here, lock prograde, until we get to our 45-degree point. We haven't unlocked the things that allow our boosters to get thrown off. So I can't do that yet. We're actually curving a little too quickly. Maybe that's the reason why the boosters hit us. We were at a different point in time than we usually are. Congrats, Gino, on catching Slowbro. I unfortunately did not. If I break these off now... It broke one of our fins, so we're going to have less control. So it is the angle of our approach. So let's try one more time. And this time I will make sure that we're not following prograde at certain points. I also remember to turn on all the boosters this time. I'm going to try to bring prograde down a little bit. It's actually a little too much. There we go. Bring you over here. Lock prograde. I'm going to try to rotate prograde a little bit. I don't know if it's going to work very well. It looks like it did. So I want to stop following prograde. Or do I? We're actually going up at a slower speed. So I think we're doing better this time than we did before. As you can tell, we're burning our solid fuel a little bit quicker. So let's stop following prograde right here. It broke off the fin again. We're just gonna try it. Because we're almost out of the atmosphere already anyway. Or actually we're not. We're actually still in it. Quite far. I also just got the low battery notification on my headphones. So we might be changing headphones before we raid out. I'm not sure yet. Let's start going closer to prograde. Pretty soon I'll be cutting off the engine because we're at 50 kilometers now. We just went into the orbit portion of our nav ball. And now we're at 60 kilometers. At our max height, I mean. That's 70 kilometers. I'm going to start going horizontal now. Before we get to 80, because I realize that it's easier to rotate the rocket before we get there. And cut the engines there. Why are we going to prograde? Seriously, why are we... Because we're missing a tail fin? I don't know, but I'm putting us back on the horizontal line. There's the music, so now we are in a full orbit. And I can't rotate very easily, so I'm gonna wait until we don't have these boosters anymore. And there goes one headphone. It just died. I'm keeping an eye on our time to our highest point. And then we're going to cut the engines completely. Or turn them on completely, I mean. Which would be right about now. Until our periapsis gets up to it. Actually, we might want to go closer to our peri first. No, our time's still going down. That is what I want. I want the time to be going down as we're getting closer. Because I want to go past our highest point. There goes the side boosters, so we can break them away. They shouldn't hit us at all. They're also not in a stable orbit, so they will crash back down on the surface at some point. Our time is now going back up, so I'm going to get a little bit closer. Let's go, going off of we're at negative 52 kilometers, let's do it at 10. We actually gain time as we're getting closer at this point. If I stop there while our camera changes. Let's rearrange back to where we're supposed to be. Because now our lowest point is at 60 kilometers. We're getting closer. $68, 69, 70 kilometers. That's a stable orbit already. I'm going to get a little bit closer to having the numbers being exact, but I'm not going to try to get exact numbers. So that's 8478, 8590, or 8580, you know, that's close enough. We're within 5 kilometers of them being an exact circle. So what I'm going to do here, since we don't need this rocket, actually, we could burn this rocket getting all the way to Minmus. We have a lot of velocity at this point. We might not even need this one. With having all the fuel from the side boosters going into here, it seems like we saved fuel, but I don't think we actually saved fuel. And I only put this rocket on here to get us to Minmus and orbit Minmus. So let's see how far this 1-3 fuel booster gets us. It will also allow us to change our angle as we get to it. I want you as target. These dotted lines should be the highest and lowest point that we reach Minmus within our current orbit. It is going to the left. If I put the maneuver node in front of us, actually let's wait until we get past this dotted line so that the maneuver node is in front of us in our orbit instead of behind us. So that when we go past it, we have a countdown timer. Not too much longer. I would have warped, but we're not that far away from it. Alright, now if I put a maneuver node here, and then all we're going to do is go to this. Oh. Oh, I'm not clicked on it anymore. What you? There we go. Alright, we're just going to burn prograde a few times. Let's turn this up. I know I can use the scroll wheel to slide a little bit easier, but I feel like just clicking on it is quicker. Now this is our closest approach when Minmus is there, so we actually overshot where Minmus will be. But let's go this way a few times. We're going to have to give it some prograde as we're doing that. We're getting a capture of Mun, which does mess with our approach to Minmus. That's really messing. And that's not an orbit anymore. So if I go to here, and then we try an approach. Okay, so we have an approach right there. I think what we might want to do is this orbit until we get past Mun to, like, let's say right here, and then we do a secondary maneuver to adjust for all this. Or we could, yeah, let's do that. We're gonna adjust for it later on. It's going to take 922 meters per second, which is close to the amount that I wrote down for getting from Kerbin to just getting Minmus. Not getting an orbit, getting to Minmus. So it's not too bad on speed there. Let's get locked on our maneuver node. And then I will fast forward to being closer to our time. Alright, that's pretty much the maneuver node, so I'm going to just fast forward now. Oh, a thing that we might end up doing is running out of power as we're getting there, because I do not have the shell, or fairing, closed, or opened. So we don't actually have solar panels exposed right now. We have already lost 7 out of 650 of our electric charge. Now 8 out of 650. So we might be okay getting all the way there, because our rockets charge the batteries just like the solar panels do. Traffic accident imminent? I don't think so. We've done orbits enough that we should be able to get there and back very easily. And this is the general area that Minmus will be when we get over there. I could have did it going this way. Oh, the satellites, they're out of the way. And we're in negative time now to burn, so let's see how well we do. Oh, no, I do want to be on this. Mind you, I have not auto-saved yet on purpose. And that camera is for sure moving its angle. What is that star? It is a communication network. So it's 3 satellites orbiting around Kerbin. They are relay satellites, so they pick up any radio waves and send it to Kerbin. The same thing is around Minmus. That's why there's so many green lines going from Minmus to here. We have the same Mercedes star over there. They're roughly 4 hours apart in a 12-hour orbit, so that they're equally spaced. Alright, we're getting closer to needing to cut the speed right there. Oh, a little more. Okay, that's it for this maneuver. Now we're going to adjust it before we get there. I add a maneuver there, and focus view on Minmus so I can see where the maneuver is. Pretty sure I need to go normal to raise. I do. And we can see how close we're getting. Closest approach is 2 million or 2,000 kilometers. We're getting further away at that point. Where's the lowest amount? 2.2 kilometers? Or 2,200 kilometers? Oh, there's a capture. We have a capture. Where do I have to go to make this closer? This way. I'm going to try to put us orbiting around Minmus in the way that it's going. So I want to start us over here on the left side of Minmus. And if I turn this down and we do normal... No, we need to go anti-normal now. I'm trying to get our parry on that orbital line of Minmus. It's a little hard to tell because there's a lot of lines here. I think that's pretty darn close. We do prograde. I'm going to get to between 15 and 10. That's too far in. That's too far out. I went the wrong way. Okay, let's go even further in. There's 15. I'll stop at that. We'll do another maneuver here to get captured, or to get an orbit. But until then, we're going to right there. I am going to give us a slight amount of throttle to help us get to the maneuver node. Actually, I should probably stop doing that because it looks like the maneuver node is moving. Alright, let's see how we do. Yeah, we messed up the maneuver a little bit. We should be able to correct for it. No big deal. Burn time of 2 seconds. We're going to change that. "20 seconds is better than 2 seconds. I can work with that. Alright, now that we're on the maneuver, let's fast forward to that spot. Alright, we're within 50 seconds. Our connection to Kerbin is very low. Hopefully this doesn't do anything bad to us. That's 10 seconds there. 4, 3, 2, 1, full throttle. At some point, we're going to see our orbit over here at some place. Right, we're getting pretty close, so let's turn this down. Oh, why are we not on the maneuver anymore? What happened? I think I messed stuff up. Maybe it's the connection? I can't lock on the maneuver anymore. So I'm pretty sure it's the connection to the network. Alright. We know what we have to do now. I need... take this off. Struts and everything. And then I need to remove this whole thing. Don't need that anymore. Now we have a decoupler here. Do we need that decoupler? Probably. Is that a decoupler? I don't even think it is. And the struts probably aren't connected to it, right? Nope. Engines. Take those off. Slide one off. Open the fairing. Okay. Well, that should be all correct. A lot of this is going to be burned up before we get into space. Now I just need to rearrange where these struts are. I want to grab... What about there? Four-way symmetry, why is that off again? There we go. I want you to look relatively straight as you're going on to... Close enough. Grab you, connect you from here. Alright. So when we get into space, we can break off the fairing. Now, we are at the point that I normally read out to, and since we haven't really gotten to Minmus, we could just call it here on the launch pad. I think that's what we're going to do. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to catch me live, I stream on Twitch on Wednesdays and Fridays from 10 AM EST to 12:30 PM EST, and on Sundays from 10 AM EST to 2 PM EST.